send me some sorry lines.
Hi, I'm Ilysa.
And I'm Kira.
And welcome to Polymer Clay TV.
Today we're going to show you how to use molds with your polymer clay.
So let's get started.
Okay, we're going to talk about using flexible rubber type molds like this one and a more rigid mold. This is one of the molds in our shop, and it's created with a blend of polymer clays. It's got a tiny bit of give to it, but for the most part it's rigid. So when you're molding something, you have to decide what type of piece you're going to create, because as you can see we have two right here very different pendants that we created from this same mold. And this one is small, thin, light. This one is bolder and thicker, and it's actually got a little Swarovski in the middle. And this again shows the difference between Ilysa and I and our working styles. She tends to make bold, large pieces, and I tend to make tiny little things. So first I'm going to show you how to use the rigid mold. And one of the things that you might hear is the term mold release, which would be water or a silicone spray, like the type that is sold as a car protectant. Sometimes
Armor All.
Yeah, Armor All. I mean, I don't know if we're supposed to say that, but that's the brand I use. So water, Armor All. Sometimes you could use cornstarch because that'll wash off with water, or you could use powdered pigments like the kind you can buy in our shop. And this piece actually was a piece of black clay that was pressed into the mold, pulled out, and then powdered pigments were rubbed onto the surface. This one was molded, and then some dewdrop ink was applied on the raised areas. So when you're molding something, generally it's something that has texture to it, so you're going to want to do something to highlight the raised parts. Put something on it. You know, it just depends on how you want to end up. So I'm going to start by using this rigid mold, and I am going to put silicone on it. I'm going to spray it lightly from far away, and I'm actually going to dab some of it off because I don't want a big puddle of silicone. I just want enough that it's going to let my clay go quickly. So I've got a piece of clay that is conditioned, and I'm going to lay it on, press it in, and pull it out. And it's really that simple if you use a mold release, because you know it's going to just come right out. So now this piece I can put onto something else. I can put a border around it. I can poke a hole through it. If I wanted to turn this into a button, I could poke holes right into the middle of it and bake it like that. But I do want to embellish this with a little powdered pigment. That's how I decided I'm going to decorate it. So I'm going to pat off a little bit more of that silicone that's still resting on the surface there, gently. I don't want to ruin the design. And I'm going to get some of my silver powdered pigment onto my finger and just gently get it onto the raised areas of this design. That's all there is to it. It's pretty easy. Do you want to use the flexible mold?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm just using a little bit of clay, and you have to make sure it's kneaded before you start to put it into your mold. And you know, depending on what you want to make, you can shape it to the shape you want, or you can just take a big piece and mold it and then cut it out too. So here's just a big piece to show you, and I like to I push it into the mold with my fingers, and then sometimes I'll come along with my rod and roll it over too. But you got to be gentle so you don't move it. You don't want it to move and distort. And then I just peel it back. And I didn't use any kind of release agent. I just did it right with a kneaded piece of clay. Sometimes you do need it, so you want to play around with the mold and see how it releases from the clay. And just play around with it. I could come back and I could embellish this. I could cut it off and make it into a pendant, just by shaping it, adding a hole. You could just, add any kind of embellishments to it. And if you check out our next episode of Polymer Clay Classroom, we're going to be showing how to actually make your own molds and then some pendants that we've made from the molds. come on back for that and check it out.
Send me some sorry lines, but passion undying, that the oceans can't subside.